Welcome back. It's time for another episode of Shaky Phone Camera and Lyle's Garage. Working on episode 2 of the 1969 C2SS by Kawasaki. Since I last turned on the camera, I put on some old handlebars. I took off those really rotted ones and decided that I didn't want a chance going off a little tiny bump and having the handlebars break and break my teeth up there. So I don't know if I'm going to stick with this, probably not, but for now that's holding the place. I ditched the clutch lever and bought one of these China ones. The previous clutch lever is actually pretty cool. It's a nice old piece. But I have a strong feeling that it's going to break, and since all of the bolts are all crappy, I had to hacksaw it apart, and I don't know, I'll probably beat this straight later and then maybe reuse it, but not on this project. I also took off the throttle thingy-majigger and the throttle tube bobber, and then I'll clean those up and we're going to reuse those guys. Also took off the old shocks. These are really just rusty. I'm certain that they probably still shock, whatever. But I took out the little hardware, the plungers out of it, and it's actually just a metal shaft, and then it has two kind of backwards facing plungers to compression it in. And I took them out of there because the shocks I want to put on have a different size little majigger. So these actually came off another C2SS, but they're an aftermarket one that's just really old. And to kind of keep it, you know, still old and patinaed, I don't want to put brand new shiny shocks on. And I have these already on the shelf. They're way better than the stock ones. So I'm using some sockets to press out the insides because these are actually hydraulic pressed in. And so what I did is I found a socket that's the size of the eyelet, the outer piece, to sit up against there like so. And then I put this guy right there, put them all in the vise, and then as I vise it, it pops the guy out into that guy. Anyways, I don't know why I just got on a rant about that. Could have just told you we're going to replace the shocks. Today's episode, I'm going to go ahead and do the back tire, maybe the front tire. We'll just have to wait and see. And yeah, the back tire I got is probably way too big. It's 100/90, and the one that's on there is 90/90, or 3.25 by 18, something like that. Let me see, is it anywhere? Nope, who cares? So I might end up having to file off some of these knobs on the outside to get it past the brake stay on the other side. Or I might have to beat this fender out a little. Whatever, we'll get her on there. That thing looks pretty awesome. Today we're going to be going with this motorcycle ATV 2 by Sedona. I don't think I've ever actually used this company before. It was like 13 bucks on Amazon Prime, so I'll try that guy out. I also bought, I don't know if that information helps, but they were sold as motorcycle foot peg rubber type things. They're obviously Kickstarter little grommets, but they look like they're gonna fit on there real nice. And I gotta clean those up. So we got those things to put on a little bit later. Also got the new petcock. And I even went and bought the new barbed little banjo fitting because that guy is just gonna break off. So got a set of those from the Amazonian. So came with, I believe, 2, and that comes with all the washers and the little banjo bolt. So pretty sweet. There's the China numbers if you need that crap. So I think I'm probably going to finish up this mess that I started with the shocks. We'll get those shocks put on, and then we'll go ahead and we'll take off the back tire. I think the plan for the day for the back tire is get the wheel off and get the chain off and get that soaking if it feels like it could be fixed or cleaned and reused rather. Let's take a look right now. Oh, that actually feels pretty stiff. Usually if you pull them sideways and they bend a lot, you can tell they're broke. Or not broke, but wore out. Whatever, you get what I'm saying. So this chain's probably, I don't know, 96 years old or so. I don't know if that makes it run better with the hairs and the dirt, but we're gonna clean it off anyways. And there's also this little cap we're gonna have to make someday. Let me get you in there a little better. Let me put this down so I can keep my hand still. So I don't know what the hell's going on there, but if you look down back there, that's the piece that flew off of that thing. So, I don't know. My other bike just has a metal, like kind of aluminum cap with 2 holes drilled for the bolts, so we're gonna end up making one of those for that guy too. I also got an ungodly amount of just crap. So I don't know if somebody took a dump on the bike and then rubbed it everywhere. But this type of stuff is always on these old bikes. So I'm probably gonna have to put some, I don't know, some oven clean or something on there to get this crap off. But I digress. We're gonna take this guy off. We'll clean the little shaft, axle, whatever they call this thing. And then take the chain off, clean that, soak that. And then we'll take a look at this guy. This guy actually looks pretty good. So this looks a lot better than that Honda CB that I did the last freaking, I don't know, months ago. Who knows? So I thought you might want to come along for a ride and see how this kind of ghetto rigging's done. Normally you could just do this on a hydraulic press, but I buried mine behind this freaking 50-pound drill press, and it's on this little kid's table. It's about to break. Somebody stacked a whole bunch of freaking hammers there. There's just a pile of crap, and so I can't get to my press. So we'll never probably be able to use him again. But we got the vice grip here, or what's this called? Bench vise? I don't know. Thingy-majigger. So I got the smaller one on the inside here. I had to tape him so it could stay put. This one's bigger, so it's the same size as the outer sleeve. As I tighten it, it should just push out that rubber stuff inside. So let's get you in here and see what happens. Oh. Let's see if I can set this here so you can actually see it. Oh, look at that. Good camera. Get the finger out of there. Yep. This could blow up and break my camera. That's okay. Oh, goodness gracious. It's important when everything falls that you just relax and watch where it goes, because you notice one guy went into there, one guy went into there, and one guy went into there. There he is right there. And that's, they organize that kind of crap. And that's what they do. They fall and they plan on that type of crap happening. I got this guy here. There's that bastard way over there. I think they're being cute or something. And then we lost somebody over here. Oh yeah, look at that. So when you drop crap, or rather when crap falls, you just take a second, relax, and watch where it all goes and listen where it goes. I used to freak out and get to the cussing right away. And then you're just doing your F-bombs and you don't pay attention, and then you spend the rest of your life looking for this type of crap. That guy just fell straight down like a good boy. So you can see we got all that crap out. Now we take these guys, and these just go in like super easy. And whoever thought of this is just a freaking genius. So now that fits what it didn't fit. Okay, so I'm just going to get all this done with the other one and not show you. I'll show you at the end, okay? See you in about a second. Okay, this is the back tire. In case you haven't done this before, you find the master link on your chain. Take that off. If you need to know how to do that, find a video. There's tons on YouTube. And take your chain off. I got it soaking out in the back in a bucket of gas right now. It might not be good for your chain, especially if you have an O-ring one, so do whatever you want to do. We got the new shocks on, or the old shocks on. When you take off the back tire, you got to undo the 10mm little chain tensioners. You also got to do these 19 mils. You got to take one off this side or the other side and then pull the little shaft out, axle, whatever that thing's called. And then you can take the back wheel out. I have the bike lifted up on a little bit of a jack, and I got the ratchet straps pulling it forward to the front so that way it won't fall back, but it's still super sketch. So I only lifted up just enough to where I can just barely move the wheel. And I'll probably have to lift it up more because the new wheels got more tread. So I'll get all this out, wipe everything off, and I'll show you what it looks like when I get the tube off for the tire. You just realized I didn't show you this side. I figure I might as well, since this is kind of like a tutorial, might as well explain this. This is probably, I don't know, 14mm, 13, 12-ish. I think it's a 14. Anyways, all you do is you pull this forward, and then, oh, can I do this? Let me see if my legs will hold it. There we go. And then you just undo this. Usually you can do it by hand if you get a wire brush and clean the threads first. And then you can just release that. And in order to get this out, you push the brake pedal, and then that falls out. Before you get going anywhere else, pull this little plunger dill out. It looks like that. And just stick that back on there. Stick that nut back on there. That way when you go to put it together, everything will, oh, hello hand. Jeez. That way when you go to put it together, all your pieces are still there. This one's super bent, you see that? And then you gotta take the brake stay off. This usually has a cotter pin or a safety wire. Cut that off. This looks like a 14 mil. It's always best to wire brush the threads, maybe put some PB Blaster, then it comes off real easy peasy. As soon as you get the brake stay off, the whole wheel will come out. If you notice, once you take the axle out, the wheel stays because the brake stay and the brake little armature are all hooked up. Once you get this nut off, take the brake stay off, take the bolt out of the brake drum, put it back in the brake stay, and just leave that so you know where your parts are when you put it back together later. So we got the back wheel off, and I looked over the back sprocket, and you can tell it's crap. Basically, if you got a sprocket and it gets pointy, like to where it's like sharp like this on the top, that means that it's wore too much out right here, and you can see all of the wear marks from each tooth where that chain sits, and so it makes that to like a knife edge. So unfortunately I can't find anything on the internet as far as a new one goes, but here's some of the maths. I got a sprocket, it says 46, I assume it's a 46 tooth sprocket on there. There's 4 holes that it mounts with. Each one is about 49mm apart from each other, and diagonally it's 69mm. Another good reason to take everything apart and check it. When I had the back wheel off, you can see there is like 1mm of pad there. It's like half of my week's worth of fingernail growth worth of pad. It's basically non-existent on some areas. More importantly, you see all this chewed up crap? That means something's not right. And I ended up finding pieces. You can't see it, but these pieces were kind of just going around doing their thing. So, great. Should have just never opened that, huh? Anyways, now it's all known to the world, so I gotta get some new brake pads. Let's get you in here and you can see just how little bit of meat there was there. It actually looks like a lot through the camera, but just through my eyeballs it looks freaking like there's nothing. In fact, you could even see a little bit of wear happening right here where it's shiny, where that side's not even making contact, but the metal's hitting. So we got to run our finger inside the drum and we'll see if that's got grooves. Nothing. I don't feel any grooves. I don't hear any grooves or beats either. But you can see where that piece got in there and chewed the crap out of this. I don't know, this webbing that's inside of there. So we'll just pretend like we didn't ever see that. Or this dent on the bearing right here. That thing still spins, so I'm not gonna even worry about that. You wanna see it? So we'll just take some sort of an abrasive, sandpaper, and we'll clean all the rust out of there before we put it back together. Well, boys and girls, things are not going as I had dreamt they would. It's raining outside, so the tire is rock hard. I don't really want to break my knuckles. It's a rainy day. So I need the sun's light to warm that guy up so I can pop those beads off. And the new one will just slip on no matter what. You just put some soapy water on him and he's probably going to slip on right now while I'm not looking. But I did get the fender off and decide maybe we could tackle one of those little holidays there. And maybe we could clean that up. I don't know. Now I keep thinking maybe I should just paint the damn frame. We're already half naked, you know. We'll just get the motor off and the front triple clamp out of there and put some POR 15 on that. I don't know. Trying real hard to just not do too much, but the more I look at it, the uglier it gets and the more I want to do. So I went ahead and I ordered some new handlebars. So now we got a new part. So I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and work on this, see if I can't get something else done while we're waiting for the sun to come out. So I went ahead and I cut off the duct tape holding the coil on and found out that the bracket was broken. So it looks like it's been broken a few times and bugger welded already a couple times. I'm gonna have to just fix this because this original coil, one of these on eBay, that might not even work, is like 150 bucks, and there's only like one at a time on eBay. And none of the junkyards have these kind of bikes, so I really want to keep this all original. So since it works, I'm gonna go ahead and try to put another booger weld, and just like the previous guy has already done. So we'll see how that goes. So the welding went pretty well. I was able to Frankenstein all these pieces back together. Unfortunately, I splattered some welds on the threads of the good bolt and the bad bolt, and had to take some standard nuts and just kind of jam them on there. So I don't think they'll ever go back on if somebody takes them off. And then just in case those welds give out for some reason, because this whole housing is just such a piece of crap, put some zip ties. And then I also came down here and hooked up all the wiring. And then this stuff was all crappy and had this 30-year-old electrical tape on it. Sorry, there you go. So I got that old electrical tape off and put some heat shrink tubing for all of the part that was open. And that was pretty tough to get all of these little things. And then there was 3 wires. There was like 2 for the charging, a green, yellow and a blue, I think. And then there was the green for the neutral switch that I'm not using. So I wrapped them up in there and sealed them up hermetically. And we got the 2 wires for the coil all cleaned up, and I stuck some alcohol on a Q-tip and drilled it in there. Another thing that I gotta do eventually is to just kind of clean up some of this. I don't know if you guys have seen this. That's nice. Well, I ended up not being able to get this little bracket welded on because the fender was just all like in a weird position, and the bracket obviously broke off for a reason. So I'm not gonna put it on. There's another bracket up here, and then there's these mounting points right here. So 2 mounting points is good enough for me. Today I'm going to take off this little side cover, a little magneto cover. In order to do that, you got to get the or the shifter off, the little shift lever. That's a 10 mil bolt. And then you can't just take it off because the little foot peg thing's in the way. So you got to take that off. That has this little bracket, and it's bolted up here with 2 bolts. Let's see, that guy and that guy, and this guy and this guy, and then this whole bracket comes down, and that actually is a 1 piece for both of the foot pegs. So we got to get that down, and then we can get the shifter off, and then we can get this little side cover off and get in there and start cleaning up all of that junk in there and figure out a cap for this little neutral switch. So we'll see how that goes. Sorry, I'm trying to show this to you, but it's really hard to get it on camera. There we go, look at that. Oh, delicious. This guy appears to be a little bit bent too. Great. This is what I use to get all these old bolts out with, by the way. PB Blaster. I just need to get a big hammer on that crap. So that's what that whole little foot peg rest little piece looks like. And this guy is actually bent a little. You can't really tell right here, but it's sticking up like this, but it needs to be back like that. So we'll see if we can hammer him maybe into submission. Okay, now we can get a little shifter off. I like to use this kind of method where I push one way and then pull back the other way. And then you kind of rock them around like that. Yeah. It gets them off a little bit faster. So this is supposed to have a hinge in it, but it's been welded. So we'll clean this guy up too before we put it back on. And now we can just go ahead, we got a Phillips here and a Phillips here. We'll break those off, and then we can take off this whole thing. See what kind of mess we got. I'm gonna go ahead and use the impact screwdriver, not even mess around. Give them a little check. Now, this is all on a little jack stand on the back wheel, so I can't go hitting it too hard. There you go, you can see that guy was not going to come out easily. Phew. See if I can get that in there for you guys. Just a little bit of boogers. So this is your, I don't know, flywheel is what I call it. I don't really know what this is called, but it's a big heavy thing, and yeah, anyways. I noticed this guy came in and out a little bit. That's not too good. Jeez, that's nasty. Okay, well, I got it zoomed in all the way. Sorry, I have a kind of crappy microphone stand I'm using for a tripod. But basically, we got to get this Phillips out and that one. So we're going to clean this guy up a little bit. Okay, I didn't really do much, so we're going to need to get a pick and clean out the threads, or the little cross rather. So I started using this Harbor Freight specialty tool, 5,692, and scraping this crap out when I noticed, oh, the screw is nice and loose. That's great. And this one just wanted to come out on its own also. So that's pretty nice. Thought for sure I was gonna have to do something special to get that guy out. Yeah. Oh, look at that. This is probably some of the grossest shit I've ever seen. Excuse my language. It's just what happens when a bike isn't cleaned ever. Oh, I just flung that right on me. Yeah. Got some gasoline. Some paintbrush action. And on and on. So the back the back wheel ended up having a bunch of cracks around the hub, right where the sprocket mounts. The sprocket's crap on it, so I was gonna replace that. And as I started to look at it closer, I found a bunch of cracks in the hub. So let me get you in there and I'll show you. So here's the back wheel. It's gonna be kind of tough, but I'm gonna try to show you. So I noticed that there was this crack here, right? And what that is that's right where that bolt goes through right there. So I thought, well, we just won't tell anybody about that. It'll probably be fine. Well, then I was thinking about it a little later and I thought I should probably check the rest. So I went to the next one and you can see that guy is totally busted. Sorry, this is really hard to do the flashlight and the phone. But as I kept going, see a crack there, and the last one you can see it's also, let's see if I can zoom in a little. This doesn't make sense why that light won't go in. There we go. So every single flipping one is broke. So I went on to the online auction source that I'm not going to name. And miraculously, I found one. A whole hoop, hub, spokes, everything. Has a sprocket on it already. Might even be okay. Best of all, there's no cracks anywhere on the hub or the hoop. So I got that coming. Fortunately, it's going to take like a month to get here. So this video is going to take a little turn in a different direction. So I know that we had previously started this episode to do the back wheel, but obviously I can't do it now. So I still have the tube and tire for the new one, but we're gonna have to wait until it gets here. So for now, I've been just kind of doing some cleaning because there was just crap everywhere and broken stuff everywhere. I'm gonna take this out because it's sunny today. We'll set the, sorry, not that. We're gonna take the front wheel off, set that out in the sun and see if we can get that guy off. If I can get that off, then I'll kind of turn it back towards the tire video and we'll get the front wheel on, front tire on. Been getting a lot of stuff done though. This is my little basket of parts that I've cleaned and such. And all my new stuff. So there's progress happening. It's just not going the direction that I expected, which is kind of how these things go, isn't it? So let's get in here and I'll take a look at all this crap with you. So I got all this clean, mainly with a flathead screwdriver, getting most of the old chain lube that was splattered everywhere. Got that chiseled off. And then I just got the gas and the paintbrush trick. As you can see, it's a world of difference. So something I realized was this is coming in and out because there's actually a clip, a little C-clip or a retainer that's supposed to go in that groove on the shift shaft. So I'm gonna have to find that. I'm gonna use this sprocket. It's got a little bit of wear, but it's usable. Also, this needs to be smashed down up against the nut. And this guy, I still haven't decided what to do about this. This is the neutral little switch clip piece that broke off of here. You can see it was connected right in there to that little wire piece, that brass piece right in there. Next, we're gonna take off the front wheel. I got the bike sitting down. This is always a pain in the butt because it always is a pain in the butt. I don't know how to say it. You know, the bike's leaning on the wheels, so you take a front wheel off and everything's all messed up. So, I don't know. I'm probably gonna just zip it out, and since it's such a light bike, just lift it up with my hand, undo the ratchet straps, pull the wheel out, and just set it back down on the fork tubes. And then ratchet it back down. To get the front wheel off, it looks like we probably gotta take this guy off, which is pretty simple. Just undo him. If you have a hand free, you can push that with one and then it spins the other faster, but I got my hand on the phone right now. Shit, it's already almost done. Let's just do it together, huh? So, just like the rear brake, you undo this little thing. Come on, Meow. This guy comes out of there. Take the dowel out. This is actually stuck in there, huh? Well, son of a biscuit. Well, I guess we just take that off and pass that through. But before we get too far, let's put this back on. Put this guy on. And then you got to put this guy. This is called a sphincter nut, I believe. Okay, so the front brake is all disconnected. That was easy. Speedometer has been deleted, so we don't have to worry about that. So we got this nut. That feels like what? What do you guys think? No. Who said 14? That's not a 14. That's definitely gonna be, what, 17? Let's check it out and see. I have 17 here. Did we get it right? Yeah, so that's a 17. Oh, and she's basically hand tight because it's just your front wheel. You don't really have to worry about that. The other side has one of these little chingolettas. I'm gonna keep the cinch bolt cinched until we get that nut off over there. And then once that 17 mil nut is taken off, we can loosen this. This is a 14 right here for sure. Yeah, maybe 13, I don't know, maybe 12. Then we can take out the little shaft, axle, dilly whacker, and then the whole front tire will come off. Okay? Thanks. I don't know why I said thanks, but you're welcome also. Here's the axle. Excuse me. It's probably the tiniest one I've ever seen. Compare that to my thumbnail, and that's the big end. So as these guys try to come on out of here, something I've noticed over the years is that hole is a good spot for a screwdriver. And then you can... Anyways, so there it is. Front wheel's all off now. You don't actually have to take that clamp bolt all the way out. In case you didn't know, you can just loosen that sucker up. And now the whole wheel will come out, but I have it all locked in right now in the clamp over there for the... what's this red thing called? Lift. Oh my goodness. One problem I encountered that I thought you all should know about. When I took the tire off, this little fork brace bastard really got stuck on the tire. The tire kind of sits in this little hole here, and when you have to pull it out, some of the tire has to pass through this crap. So I'd imagine in a real world, or maybe like in a real shop, they probably take time to take these guys out first. Basically the nut heads, the hex heads, are what the tire was really getting stuck on. So all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna leave that crap on because I don't want to take it off. So when I put my new tire on, I'm just gonna leave it deflated and then it'll squeeze through. I got a flat tire, so I noticed that if the tire was flat, you were able to kind of pull it out. But if it had air in it, then I would have been screwed. So that's about it. I'm gonna go throw the tire out in the sun and go eat something. And then I'll try to see if it'll come off with some soapy water and the tire irons, and get back to you guys. Ended up getting really lucky on the front wheel. I'll post a picture I took of the hub, but the front hub looks great. There's actually still pretty decent grease in there on the bearings and the speedo little gear. And best of all, it's got some meat still on the brake pads. So I won't have to do anything with the front brake. Just ignore it and maybe clean it a little bit. Give it a few compliments. That's about it. The front wheel altogether is pretty sweet. Thought I'd share that with you. Anywho, back to lunch. The tire came off pretty easily after it got warm, and the wheel's actually in really decent shape, so that's nice. Let's see if we can get a bunch in there. And the little nipples there for these spokes aren't actually rusted, which is kind of surprising. So I don't know if those are aftermarket kind of replacement spokes, but something you got to do on all the spoked wheels. Well, first off, I cleaned everything and then blew the air compressor to dry all the stuff out. And I'll take like a little tiny Phillips, says 1/8 inch, and I'll tap them out, and hear how that one's lower. So I got this little wrench here. What size is that? 13/64. All we do is take that guy, give him a little turn. Oh, it's coming back. Well, you can tell there's a bump right about there. 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 So the wheel is got the spokes all tightened up and tuned up. On this bead over here, that's pretty acceptable. And this one right here, I don't see anything wrong with that. No, just act like that looks perfect. Anyways, if it was wobbly, you would see a wobble in there as you spun it. This wobble here, let's see if we can find him, is right there. If you watch that white light reflection, you can see it bow out right there. And that's gonna probably end up being a rock impact. I would try to hit it, but I think that if I remember, these aren't solid and this is hollow. So if I nail it with the hammer, it probably is just gonna flatten and be worse. So that's all right. This is a small dirt bike. It's just gonna be for playing with. So anyways, that's how you take care of all that kind of stuff. Next up, we're gonna put the tire on the front wheel. And this tire is that size and that brand, and I think it was about $36 or $46. I don't know. I bought a tire for $46 recently and one for $36, so it's kind of a dual purpose kind of knobby thing that'll go on the street, but then if you want to go on some hard pack. We got a tube for it also, so, and then there's a strap, little tube protector. So go ahead and get those things all on. I'm just going to use some soapy water and first set this out in the sun for a minute so it gets even softer, and then it'll just slip right on. And if you need to know how to do this like step by step, you can watch one of my other videos on the CB550, and that one I actually show how to use the tire irons and stuff. So I'll just skip ahead until it's on. Ready? Poof. I kind of forgot to videotape the rest of the tire getting put on. And then I went and did a bunch of other things and just never turned the camera on. So let me catch you up with what we did. Got the tube and tire put on and mounted. Front brakes were fine, so we just reused everything. Cleaned everything up and greased the axle. We got everything hooked back up onto the hand control area. I went ahead and bought this cheap, like $30 handlebars from Amazon. And I went ahead and got a cheap set of clutch levers and brake levers as well. The brake lever for this one is built into the throttle tube, so I just left the stock one on that, and it still works pretty well besides having the ball broke off. And then I used the aftermarket China one for the clutch, because the other one was just, I don't know if you remember, was really biffed. And what else? So I got the choke lever all cleaned, and then I painted in the arrow and the S. Oh yeah, we got a new kill switch in here. This is also an Amazon, like $5 or $10 part. And wired that guy all up. Found this guy here is this little cap for the neutral switch is busted, and I found out what the part looks like, but I can't find it anywhere on the internet. So I'm still gonna probably end up having to fab up a little cover for this guy. I'm just kind of lagging on it because it's not something I'm really excited about. We got a bunch of the crap off of here. What else did we do? We got the gas tank mounted. Cleaned up the hardware, put those new rubber little grommets on that little tank mount. And what else? So we got the petcock, the new petcock put on. And went ahead and wired that in, or plumbed it in to the fuel filter. And then I reused this little spring deal that kind of like heat protectant. Went back to the stock cover. I took off that little triangle homemade deal that I used to adjust the carbs. And since everything was adjusted pretty well, I went ahead and buttoned everything back up. And kind of made my own little plug for that guy by sticking in a little plastic tube with this rubber cap on it. Some safety wire on there. And put some plugs in the holes back here. Yeah, most of these things that I put in those holes all come from these little sets that I get from Amazon. This is a set that just has solid plugs. This is a set that has like the hollow ones. So these are really good for like the gas tank mount. And just, you know, a lot of different things. These are cheap. They're like $5-10 on Amazon. I got all of this stuff all wire wheeled off in the bench grinder. So it all looks really nice and clean. Plus we did all of the throttle tube. You know, I cleaned it all out on the inside. So it slips real well over the handlebar. Greased it all up too. So all the hand controls are working really well now. The rear wheel that I ordered off eBay is supposed to be here today. So hopefully I'll get that and then we can throw the back tire on. And really all I got left is just a few little pieces. And I put the new little rubbers on the foot pegs. And these were actually Kickstarter little rubber things. But the foot pegs for this bike are so small that they fit perfectly. But they're actually replacement little kickstart rubbers. So, but as you can see, the foot pegs on this are basically just a metal dowel, very similar in size to that. So, although the foot pegs are a little bit bigger, that just makes these kind of compression fit on. And I used some upholstery glue because it's kind of soft and it would allow it to slip on and then it's going to hold it on, hopefully. This is the little breather neck that goes on the top of the motor that the air filter connects to. I've got all that guy cleaned up. So I just got to throw him on with a new gasket and then we can put a pod air filter on there. And I got a couple other pieces cleaned up. Like this is the magneto little points cover. And I did find out that this had been hacksawed off. I guess this is supposed to be a little bit longer. There was more mounting points. So right now there's only 2 mounting points in the shifter shaft. So that's all right though. I also have the exhaust and all of the brake stuff we got to put back together. And we got the rear fender and the exhaust system to put back on. Basically after all that, we just got to wait for the seat cover to come from Thailand. That'll probably take another year. And then we can recover that. And I think the last thing is going to end up being these brake pads. As you already saw, these got all chewed up when a piece broke off. And there's not really any shoe on there at all. So I got those coming. Unfortunately, when I ordered the new ones, I didn't realize they were coming from like Norway or something. So those will probably take like 300 more weeks to get here. So I think right now I'm probably going to go and put on the little air filter breather tube. Maybe get some of the brake stuff in the rear fender put back in. And I don't know. I think the wheel will show up today or tomorrow and then we can do that. Kind of screwed up the order of the video, so now I'm just kind of putting crap together. If you remember, this was supposed to just been the front and the back tire getting replaced, but with the wheel being all shot on the back, I just ended up wanting to do other things, and now the video's all over the place.